So I'm kind of getting ready to do a video on this, which is about the chapter in the first division having to do with being as care. And I kind of wanted to do a video talking about Heidegger's idea of authenticity and inauthenticity, and he has some existential concepts of authenticity and inauthenticity, and having to do with facticity versus potentiality and projection. My pipe's gurgling. It sucks. So kind of, I just want to briefly kind of discuss, and he does discuss the idea of authenticity in other chapters in that first division, as well as in the second division. But there we go. So I guess, what is authenticity for Heidegger? For Heidegger, you have being in the world and you have Dasein, which kind of emulate the human condition and also human consciousness, which is our almost dumbing down what Dasein and being in the world are. But I still think it's kind of a good way, because that's kind of what he's talking about. He's talking about a absolute, or I wouldn't say absolute, but an actually realistic reality. It is in a way a realism, a reality through Dasein itself, and through being in the world, and how the world is in a way linked via being in the world. It's not I'm here and that cup is there, or I'm here and this pipe is here. It's everything is linked up via being in the world, being as care, being in, being with, and being in the world, and as well as the various other being hyphenated words, which kind of look at that a little bit. So for Heidegger, there are different ways that you can be inauthentic, and the general idea of inauthenticity for existentialists like Heidegger and Sartre and even Simone de Beauvoir and people like that, and even Camus, I think, a little bit. The general idea is that you can be authentic in yourself, and you can be inauthentic. You can be inauthentic if you are, for Sartre, being inauthentic is being one that is being for others and being for oneself. That's, both of those things are bad faith or inauthenticity, or there's another word for it. There's bad faith and there's inauthenticity. There's different ways of translating what he's doing. Self-deception is the other word for it. You call it bad faith or self-deception for Sartre. But the general concept is authenticity mostly. It's mostly inauthenticity, but which is almost a denial of yourself. Sorry, I'm gonna let this here. So, inauthenticity is that you are denying a part of yourself, and you are fleeing in the face. You are fleeing towards yourself, and you are also fleeing away from yourself, according to Heidegger. Sorry, I'm stopping him a lot here. And mostly, authenticity is to recognize and own what you are and what things are for you. And for de Beauvoir, to be free and to be authentic to yourself is to recognize that your life is ambiguous and you have to live with that, and thus that's a way to be free. So, but for Heidegger, to flee away from yourself and yet you flee towards yourself is inauthentic because you are denying a part of your being. You are denying a part of who you are, denying a part of Dasein or being in the world itself. Let me find a passage here with which I can read. I'm trying to think about how to characterize this in the best way possible. Here too, the being ahead of oneself is one that is inauthentic, even if one is assailed by an urge coming from the very thing. This is urging one on. The urge can outrun one's current state of mind and one's understanding. So he's discussing how care is a part of the structure of Dasein, and it's part of how Dasein is, how care is central to Dasein and how it characterizes it. And he talks about care structure. He also discusses about how if you don't recognize your own most possibility, if you don't understand your projection, you don't understand your potentiality, then you are inauthentic to yourself. However, a authentic Dasein is one who recognizes, one, that you're going to die, recognizes that things are gonna be not entirely always meaningful. They're not always going to be great. And the structure of care, the care structure, shows that one does have concern, and one does and like fear and solicitude and angst do show things about Dasein itself, and care shows how care kind of just shows how things are not always going to be a certain way. They're not always going to be the way that you want them to be, and Dasein is in a way by itself, and that can have misery through fear and angst or dread, which is an idea which is also in his article Was ist Metaphysik, which is where the nothing mingles with being, or non-being mingles with being, and that's a part of what can happen. And a authentic Dasein is one who recognizes that, one, that can happen, that you're going to die. Another thing, that via your facticity, the way things are now, you can change your potentiality in view of your facticity. You can understand your own most possibilities. And if you understand those things, if you understand the difficult things about this life, the difficult things about Dasein itself, and recognize that, in view of your facticity, you can change your future, you can change the way things will be because you have potentiality. And also another difficult thing is being fallen or thrownness, which means you're a part of everything else. And other is prior to self. And a way that you can emerge from that they is to be authentic to yourself. And there are different ways via other thinkers like Sartre that you can be inauthentic to yourself. Is, let's say that you're a homosexual or a transgender, and you are playing a different life. You are being somebody else. That's another way that you can be inauthentic. But for Heidegger, mostly to be inauthentic to yourself is to not recognize and to not actualize within yourself. You are being towards death. To blend in with the they indefinitely, and not self-actualize, and to not understand your own most possibilities, and thus not understanding that via your facticity you can change things, you can make a new things, and understand your potentiality. So that's kind of a little bit of a brief look on the way Heidegger looks at authenticity versus inauthenticity, and how it's inauthentic to look at the world as a cakes and rainbows kind of way, to look at the world as a everything is going to go right for you kind of way. But he doesn't necessarily say it that way. He says it in a much different way. But he's, to fall in with the they and mix in with the they is also a inauthenticity. And let's see here. What else? Even in inauthenticity, design remains essentially ahead of itself, just as design's fleeing in the face of itself as it falls. It still shows that it has a state of being, of an entity for which to being is an issue. Its being is an issue. So, to be inauthentic, your being, any part of your being an issue for you, you are fleeing away from yourself, and yet you're fleeing towards yourself. That is it's on page 238. This is my favorite translation of Being in Time. I have the other one around here somewhere. The other one, the other main one. But if you do anything that, or think anything that is against your being, and you are having an issue with your being, then that is being inauthentic. And that's kind of where Sartre comes off thinking about the bad faith between being for self and being for others. Camus and Beauvoir saying if you don't recognize the absurdity or ambiguity of life. So, if you think I should have included something or less, or mess something up, comment below. Let me know. Thank you.